Hello everyone, my name is Amrit Raj and welcome back to our Complete ABAP on HANA course. In this part, we are going to discuss the concept of search helps in ABAP dictionary. Search helps is also known as F4 help or value help. That is, when you are going to press F4 button in any field, then you are going to get a value help, and this particular value help is known as search help. The purpose of search help in SAP is to display the various possible values of n for any input fields. Various possible values for any input fields. And every time when we create a table, we can see there is so much of search help on each field to help us. Let's see. Just go to SE11 transaction code and open any table. Suppose I have got this employee table and just open it in display mode. Now you can see everywhere where we can click, just go to this display maintenance tab. Here we can see we have got one search help. If you will go to this technical setting, we can also see their data class and size category. For everything we have got a search help. And what we are getting here, we are getting the various possible values that are possible for this particular field. So the purpose of search help in SAP is to display the various possible values for an input fields, and in that particular input field we are going to give the inputs. Now how many types of search helps are there? So there are two types of search help. First one is elementary search help and the second one is collective search help. And when we create a single search help, then that particular search help is called as elementary search help. That is, when we are going to create a single search help, a search help for a single particular field, then that particular search help will be known as elementary search help. And collective search help is the combination of elementary search help. That is, when you are going to combine multiple search help to create a single search help, then that particular search help will be known as collective search help. So let's start with the practical part so that we can understand how we can create our search help in ABAP dictionary. Our requirement is, we have got this employee table. See, we have got this employee table and I want to create a search help for my employee ID. You can see when you will go to this contents tab, just wait for a second. Yeah, you can see for our employee ID there is no search help here, but what I want, that I should be creating a search help for my employee ID, so that when I will want to see the data of my employee ID, I can have a variety of input values options, where using which I can give a input in my employee ID, and it will help me. It will show me all the possible values for my employee ID, so that I can give input for my employee ID, and based on that I can get data from my employee table. So this is my requirement to create a search help for my employee ID field of table employee. So let's start with the creation part. What I will do, I will simply go to SE11 transaction code, and here in search help I am going to give a name for my search help. So I am giving a name as ZAR_EMPID search help, and I will go for this create button. As soon as you will click on this create button, you can see a pop-up screen is coming, and this pop-up screen is asking that whether you want to go for elementary search or collective search help. So I want to go for elementary search help, then I will click on this OK button, and you can see a short description screen is coming, which is in change mode of search help, where I am going to provide all the details for my search help. The first detail will always be the short description, and the short description will be search help for employee ID. Then simply you will click on this save button, and you will assign your package and transport request. Now let's see what are the next thing that we have to discuss in this search help. After providing the short description, there are some important features on this screen which we need to understand. The first one is data collection and the second one is dialog behavior. Now this data collection, here the term itself is suggesting what we can use here. The data class, in the data collection we will be providing the source through which my search help is going to fetch the record, and here the first parameter is selection method. See what is the use of selection method. In case of our selection method, we will define the data source from which we are going to fetch the records. Whatever the records that we are going to fetch from our employee table, we will be providing in this selection method, and here we will define the data source. If you will go for this help button here, you can see we have got three kind of options. The first one is search for database tables. That is, either you can provide database tables here or you can give the views here. In the previous part, when I created a help view, I told you that we can use our help views in case of search help. So using help view, I can get the data from my table. Then we also have CDS view. So I will go for database table and I will give the name of my table, which is ZAR underscore EMP tab. Then the second one I have is dialog behavior. And if you will go for this, you can see three we have got three values in our drop down menu. The first one is dialog depends on a set of values. Then the second one is display values immediately, and the third one is dialog with value restriction. Let's discuss this thing. The first one is display value immediately. That is, when you are going to execute your search help and when you will click on the F4 button for your input, the values of the search help will appear immediately. That is, when you will click on F4 button, the values of the search help will appear immediately. But if you will go for this display with value restriction and you are going to click on F4 button, value will not come immediately, but before that a restriction pop-up will come. Let me show it to you so that you can understand this concept. Suppose I am going for my this employee table, and or we can just wait for a minute. Here, see, I am clicking on this F4 button and you can see what SAP is doing. It is giving me a screen where I can give the name of my table. But if you will go for this table name and in the technical setting, and if you will click on this data class for search help, you can see automatic the records are coming. So what is the difference between that? In the first scenario, the SAP is suggesting me to give the name of my table name so that it can find my table name, but in the case of this data class, it is directly showing me the records. So the simple difference around here is, if you are going for display with values restriction and you will click on this F4 button, values will not come immediately. Before that, a restriction pop-up screen will come and then values will appear. So you can filter out the record based on this restriction pop-up. Then we have the third one, dialog depends on set of values. Now see what is the use of it. This is a combination of both the above, that is display values immediately and display with values restriction. So if the table has less than 100 records, if the table has less than 100 values, then it will automatically switch to display values immediately and your value will immediately displayed. But if your table has more than 100 records, then it will switch to dialog with value restriction. And when you will click on this F4 button, value will not come immediately, but before that a restriction pop-up will come. So for now, let's select as display values immediately. Then we have this particular screen where we are going to give the search help parameters. Let's discuss this screen. It is really an important screen. So here we can give the parameters, and what kind of parameter? In this parameter you can select the fields that you want for your search help. So if you click on this F4 button, you will get all the fields of your table that you have given here in this selection method. So suppose I want employee ID and employee name, and I will select employee name from here. Then what I am going to do, just for now, mark this import export. We will discuss this thing in the next video. In the here I will give list position as and screen position as 1, and here for it I am going to give list position and screen position as 2. Now you will activate your search help. You can see object saved and activated. So this is how you will create your search help. Now let's test our search help. Just click on this execute button and ignore this particular screen. Just click on this OK, and you can see your value is coming automatically. So as soon as you are going to add your search help in your employee ID column, in your employee table, and you will click on F4 button for contents display, then you will get this particular screen immediately. But if you are going for this display values with restriction and you will activate it, now click on this execute button, click on OK, and this time you can see we are getting a pop-up of restriction. So if you will give an input, you will get the one particular records, but if you will not give any input, you will get all the records. So this is how your search help is going to work. So your elementary search help is going to work, and this is how you will be creating your search help. Now I hope you have understand the use of this particular dialog type. The first one is for immediately, your values will immediately appear. Then the second one is for this dialog with value restriction, that is a pop-up screen is going to appear just before displaying your data. Then the third one is dialog depends on set of values, that is if your data has your table has less than 100 records, this particular will act like display values immediately, but if it has more than 100 records, it will act as display value with restriction. This is how we can create our elementary search help. In the next part, we will discuss the various parameters and how we are going to use. We will discuss these parameters, and also we will see how we can create our collective search help. So for now, thank you very much.